Hi, welcome to Demo Garage. I'm Steven, and in today's episode, I'm going to be starting the project of replacing this headliner. I know, looks pretty bad, doesn't it? A lot of these pockets I've added just to kind of familiarize myself on how this is going to go in. But yeah, this is the beginning step, and I've been very nervous to start this project, but run out of time. Meaning it's the next thing I have to do before I can put the windshield and rear glass back in. So come along with me and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so this is the current condition of the headliner. In a previous video, I've recovered the sunroof, and I'm in the middle of finishing that project in which I do the interior portion of the sunroof, but that's to come. The headliner is in really poor shape. Every seam is bad, it's stained everywhere, it's fallen apart. It's ripped here, ripped there, ripped everywhere. And I'm in the middle of a wiring job and want to redo the courtesy light wires. And because of the wiring job, I pulled the rear window off. And then because I pulled the rear window off, since I have a new seal for that, I decided, well, maybe I'll do the front. So the front window's about to come out. I've got a new seal for that. And if I'm doing those two things, I might as well replace the headliner. It came with a new black headliner when I purchased the vehicle. So I'm about to go dig that out of one of my storage places. And I'm unsure if I have the skill set required to do that or if I'm gonna farm it out. But what I do know is I'm gonna document how this headliner is currently installed, and then I'm gonna probably remove the rest of what's here so that I can rewire the courtesy lights. So that's where I'm at right now. Talk to you soon. Okay, here's another clip. I've been removing things in the way of replacing the headliner, and that would be the windshield, because headliner does come over this edge. Another thing would be the sunroof frame. You can see a little bit of the headliner here. The two sides are just held on by 3 screws, but it looks like front and back are held on by pop rivets. So I'm going to get out the center drill and drill all those out. Not a lot of progress inside other than the removal of the sun visors and interior mirror, and yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get back to removing the remainder of the sunroof frame. So I'll bring you back. Okay, so here's the inside of the fiberglass that's normally covered by the headliner. And there's a series of wooden blocks that are fiberglassed in. Some of them I know need to be reattached. So this is obviously the one that the rear view mirror attaches to. And then over here, I've got the one that the visor, and I'm on the passenger side on the USA version. And so this one looks okay. So the headliner needs to be stretched taut and then glued over all the edges. And there's a couple of bows in here. I don't know if you can see that. So there's a couple of pockets that are sewn. There's one there and one here. And these pockets are for these tiny little bows to be installed in. And of course the headliner gets glued over the edges of the sunroof. So, and I think there's at least one of these wood pieces has become detached, and I need to reinstall that. And then it glues over the edges. So this car came with a headliner from Gray's over in England, and it doesn't obviously, it doesn't have the hole in it for the sunroof, but it does have these little pockets sewn in it. Just kind of giving you a heads up of the current condition. Again, I have created some of these pockets. It had plenty of staining. This is very brittle. I mean, it tears so easily, you know, the year of the vehicle. This wiring goes to the rear courtesy light. And I have similar damage on the other side. Okay, so this block needs to be reattached. So I think the first step is for me to take lots of pictures, and then I'm not 100% sure how it works with other trim pieces, so I'm gonna need to pull some of this trim back so that the headliner can be installed underneath it, I guess. So this is gonna be a really interesting experience. I'm very nervous. This is the kind of detail work I'd like to farm out, but I'm not sure on my budget I can afford that. But it's only money in the long run. If I screw it up, then I guess I buy a new one and then look into the cost of reinstalling. But anyway, so this is one half of the headliner, and the other side looks about the same. So I'm probably not going to bring you back for another clip of that. I'm going to document how this thing is installed currently with still photos, and then I think maybe I'll bring the other one out, the new one, and kind of drape it over the top and verify that the sewn pockets are spaced correctly. I don't know what I'm going to do if they're not. And I'll bring you back when I've got it laid over the top. Okay, so the first thing I'm seeing I'm gonna have a problem with, this is just a rough measurement, but here's the first, oh, and by the way, this block needs to be reattached too, but so the first thing I see is that if I take a quick measurement here, I've got 9.5 inches on the original headliner. And then if I come outside and let's see, this is gonna be tough measurement with only one hand. I don't know if I can do this, but I basically got 10.5 here and a little better than 10 5/8 in the other side. So, you know, I'm gonna chalk this up to variation in TVR production. If you guys are working on TVR, you're well aware of that. So yeah, anyway, I think, let's see, I need to figure out, this thing is obviously upside down, and I need to flip it around correctly. I'm not really sure what the right order of things is. This piece comes down over the sides, and it seems like it might be a little short side to side. I'm hoping that's not the case, but again, this is draped over the outside. On the inside, the length of the fabric from side to side is gonna go further. So, yeah. So I know I'm gonna need to move those bows. So the first step is gonna be, again, take those still photos to document how I need to put this back on. And then I guess I'm gonna strip off the old one completely and adhere those blocks and not worry too much about the bow placement, because I'm gonna need to spread the bows out further than they currently are. So yeah, I'll bring it back. Okay, that was quite a bit of work. I've scraped all of these exterior edges. I'm sure I'll probably do some more prep prior to re-gluing. I'm talking about like pretty much everywhere around the sunroof, around the window, rear glass, you know, around the door seals, around the upper section. Let's see, focus. There you go. Let me pop inside. So now we've got a pretty clean area to look at. You know, I've got, looks like I've got one wood plank I got to put back on there. And of course, I'll be reinstalling this bow a little further over to compensate for the newer, for the new headliner. Yeah, so I've cleaned up all over here, pulled back this vinyl. There's a little bit of foam there. Clean the inside of the front windshield. This is interesting. So there's a wood strip that's riveted in, and this piece of vinyl has been wrapped over a piece of wood. So, and that's stapled in, and it doesn't look like stainless steel staples to me. But oh, let me see if I can reach this trim piece. So it looks like the vinyl was wrapped over, then stapled into this piece of strip, and then glued down this edge, and then this piece has got the rubber pieces that press in. So that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know if I can. 51 years old, flexibility. Let's see, I can flip over here. You can see that side is done as well. And then I've got one wood strip there that needs to be reattached. But you can see the door and the back, and everything is clean the same. So I guess my next step is to reattach these wood blocks, and I'll do that while I think about the best next step. So let me do that and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I had a pretty nice conversation with Andrew over at Gray's, you know, where all the best TVR parts comes from. And between me asking a couple questions on the Facebook TVR forum and a personal call from Andrew, I've been given some hints on what to do. And in addition to that, I'm going to try something different, which could only be possible for the sunroof cars. My plan is to, and again, this inside area here is what's going to be removed eventually because of the sunroof. I'm planning on cutting here and on the other side, and then using some flexible wood dowels on the outside of the car. And I'm hoping that'll kind of hold this up in the middle while I position stuff around and I get a better look on what to do next. I've got a bunch of those little binder clips, you know, for office use to attach around the windshield, this side, and the rear glass over there. So let me go ahead and cut those little slits and see if I can't arrange this. Maybe this is it won't be a big mistake because I don't think I'm hurting anything, but maybe it won't be beneficial at all. We'll see. I'll bring you back in the next clip. I hope to have this thing hanging from the inside of the car, unless I can think of a clip I need to shoot beforehand. All right, bye. Okay, so I might have jumped ahead a little bit too much. I really should have probably glued in those wood blocks before now, because I'm seeing some success, and I'm not really breaking any new ground. I'm just using, you know, a lot of these binder clips, and then using the center of the sunroof, I've marked a line that I've aligned the white chalk line on the headliner to help me kind of figure this out. What I think is working out pretty well is I have cut those little slots, like I said, and I run a wood dowel through the center of those pockets. I don't know if you can see the wood blocks, but it's kind of helping me position those pockets across those wood blocks. I do think I'm going to alter the spacing of those metal bows. I'll show you those in a second. Yeah, so I think this was a good move so far, using these wood dowels, kind of help hold it up. And then I'm kind of pulling the material taut. This material is going to come back and need to cover that area. So I have done my best to kind of shift, since I'm moving those metal bows anyway, shift it as much as possible so that those still line up. And then again, there's going to be some material that covers here. So anyway, this is looking okay. I don't know if I can, let's see, what's this gonna look like? Is this too dark? By eye, this was looking okay. Anyway, is that gonna change focus? Maybe you can see that, but yeah. So now I wish I had installed those blocks, reinforced those before this point, because I'm having a little bit of fun kind of stretching this out, and kind of wish I could keep going, but I'm noticing that maybe I ought to back up and get those blocks installed. But I wanted to go ahead and show you how these, I'm using these pockets to help get myself aligned and centered. So yeah, this is going okay. I'm probably gonna I might add some more clips, go a little further, and then try and decide how I'm gonna alter those pockets so that they work with these bows, you know. So I'm gonna have to cut the pocket, you know, somewhere over here, and then somewhere over here, so that, you know, it doesn't extend. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna keep going. You can see this is some RV tape that I have that's just uber crazy. This is holding up the wiring for the courtesy light. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna play around with this a little bit longer, and then I'm sure I'll feel bad about having to pull it all down to adhere those blocks. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm probably going to reinforce these blocks as well with some thickened epoxy, maybe some fiberglass, but yeah, I'll bring you back. Okay, so this is an aspect of this headliner that I'm pretty nervous about. It's trying to figure out where to cut these pockets. I don't know if you can see that little mark there, such that I can thread them on these tiny little bows. You know, ultimately I think this might be a lot easier on cars that don't have the sunroof, but I have pulled, this is super hard to do one-handed. I don't know if you can see this little mark, but with two hands, can you see that? So that's where I'm planning on cutting this pocket that direction towards the center. And then I've kind of pushed this up, and that's where I'm going to cut this pocket down here in this direction. And so the pocket's really going to be this long and loop through here like a curtain rod. And I've done the same for this guy right here. This is kind of a critical thing for a nice look and fit. So I'm hoping that I've chosen a good position. I'm now going to pull this headliner down and attach these guys. And then I'm going to probably reinstall, I guess, I'll measure to make sure maybe the fronts I'll leave in that location, and reinstall the back ones to match the pocket distance on my headliner. So, yeah, I'll bring it back when I'm ready to show you something new, but basically I'm just gonna glue these back on, and it might be a day or two before I get back for another clip. And then when it's solid, then I'll move this one back. I've got some room on this guy. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'll bring it back. Okay, so I have transferred those marks over, and I've trimmed. I'm going to leave these in because that's in the sunroof area, and it's helping me with the suspension, with those wood dowels on the opposite side of the sunroof. So these are the little pockets that, hopefully I've done this right, are going to go in those bows. And so I've got pretty good sewing here, and the other two are fine, but this one is coming apart. It wasn't sewed back and forth on this one of the three. So I'm gonna pull out my sewing machine, put some black thread in it, and I'm gonna go ahead and reinforce this edge. The other three don't need it, but unfortunately this one does, so I'll bring you back. Okay, so I have, let's see, which one was it? I guess it was this one that I glued in on this side, and put a little bit more thickened epoxy around the existing ones. These all felt really good. So this is the one that stayed, and I've moved the back ones back to match the sewn pockets on the headliner I intend to install. So I've done this on both sides. Those are good to go. I think I'll reinforce that seam on my headliner, and then I guess maybe I'm going to take the top screws out and see about sliding that headliner, those headliner pockets into the new headliner, and then I'll reattach them and see if I can't get this thing in place. I'll bring it back. Okay, here's my Singer Heavy Duty, just fixing up that one seam, so I should be good to go. Let me go ahead and try and support this in the car like in a previous clip. Now that I've got the those bows in place, I'm going to try and stick these pockets in those, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. I basically just took this screw out and slid the pocket in. Hopefully I've gotten a decent enough job on this that's going to give me the tension I want. There's probably some adjustment left on that, but so I've got all 4 of these in. Now I'm gonna go ahead and stick the dowel, the rods through the top, through the sunroof, and take another look at this. Bring it back. Okay, so I took a chunk of material out of this, basically that piece right there, and I think the next step is I've got this kind of stretched a little bit. God, it's freezing today here in California. It's like 50 degrees. I know, being a wuss, but I tried a steamer on some of these wrinkles, and I need more attention on those. Meanwhile, I'm gonna, this slot right here represents the courtesy light. So somewhere around here I need to make a hole for the wiring to come down. So I guess I'm gonna pull these clips off, figure out, I've kind of identified the block of wood, you know, just by feel. So I'm gonna pull this down, figure out where in this slot I need to put a hole and do that. And then I'm committed. Then I think I need to start from the center line and glue out on both directions, or maybe I need to put it back after the hole's there with the wiring out and start hitting some of these wrinkles with a heat gun. I'd like to have some of these wrinkles out before I start gluing. So I'll start with putting a hole in the right place, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm back for another clip. So here's what I got going on so far. I wasn't happy with the routing of these wires. So I found green with red, green and red. Not sure. Okay, I think the lighting's come back. So I found the right color wires, and I added another couple of feet, and I'll obviously be shortening those wires when I connect them to the courtesy lamp. And that allowed me to come in here and route it a little better, and I feel better about that. And I use the same RV tape to hold it up there. So then I burned a hole in the right place, and I have the wires coming through, and I have now contact cement glued, what is, 6-8 inch section here in the center of the back. So I've also spent a little time with a hairdryer, and I'm trying to work out some of these wrinkles. And I'm not too worried about this, especially since I've got the sunroof, and the sunroof starts about here. So this is a very short section of wrinkle that I'm sure I can get out at a later date. So a lot of the wrinkles I have appear to be in the sunroof area. So without instructions, I think I'm going to stop here at the back, and then I'm going to move towards the front. And I'm not sure what this is going to do with the ISO on the digital camera, whether this is going to work or not. There's a lot of light, but I think I'm going to start. Let me move outside. Give me a second. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start gluing from the front and working my way out the side. I know everyone thinks California is warm and sunny. It was freezing this morning. I think we're above 50, probably 55 degrees, maybe we're getting close to 60. The contact cement says apply at 65, but I'm gonna throw caution to the wind and put it on a little cooler than that. But right now I'm going to spend some time and glue this front face down, maybe to about here on both sides, and then I'm gonna reevaluate. So that's what I know so far, and I'll bring you back after I've done that. Okay, so bringing you up on a quick clip here. I've got the front starting to be glued down. I'm doing it in sections. First I did a section in the middle, and then I did left or right, can't remember. So I'm gluing it, letting for the glue to set up, pulling it taut, pulling it up. It hasn't done a lot with the, give me a second here. I still have wrinkles, and I do expect those to come out, especially when I cut out the sunroof area and pull that taut. I'm just using a hair dryer at the moment, but I think this is all gonna work out. I don't know another way of doing it. So I'm doing it with the back as well. So you can see, got a pretty good wrinkle here, but the sunroof is right there, so I just have to deal with a wrinkle in this small distance. I've got it glued across the back here, and I'm gonna pull out again. So I've got this left side, USA driver's side, glued. And so my next step is I'm gonna put down a little bit of protection so any dropped contact cement doesn't land on anything I don't want it to. But I'm going to glue this inside bottom edge to about here. I'm gonna glue this top edge to about here. And I'm gonna glue the vinyl, I expect to cover both of those. I'm gonna wait for it to tack up, and then I'm gonna stretch it as taut as I think is a good idea. And then I'm gonna add more of these clips. So I'm just kind of working my way from the middle to outside. I've cut a little bit of extra material away. You can see there's quite a bit of material excess here. So I'm not trimming it too close yet. I'll do that when I'm a little more confident in my ability, which is not yet. But I will remove a material I'm absolutely sure isn't going to cause a problem. But my next step is to add this glue, pull that taut, and I think it's going okay, working from center to out. The last thing I'm going to do is to cut the hole for the sunroof, and then, you know, somewhere in here, and then pull that material over those sides and glue them down. You know, there's quite a bit of, you can see in the paint, there's quite a bit of material that gets covered with the sunroof. Maybe you can see this in the paint here. So yeah, so sunroof will be last. I'm gonna keep going. At some point when I get around here, I'm gonna start thinking about, all right, what do I need to do in this section? And then I'll address the little, you know, curtain rails and pockets and see, I want to be able to pull that taut, but if what I've cut away isn't enough, I might cut away a little bit more of these pockets that are in the rail. So I'll bring you back when I get closer, but yep, so I'm gonna do that section, and then I'll bring you back when I got something to show you. Okay, so I've decided, so this is the A-pillar, and the headliner is supposed to come down. I don't remember how far. I should probably look at my photos, but this is the foam, and this is, you know, the vinyl, original vinyl comes up to about here. So I've decided I'm gonna continue the gluing around this edge on both sides before I start looking at pulling it taut on the door sill. And for that matter, I'll probably end up coming down a little further on the back edge as well. It's going well. I'm pleased. I spent a little more time. I've now moved from the hair dryer to a heat gun, you know, and a lot of these wrinkles are starting to come out even before, you know, pulling into the sunroof. So I'm afraid of getting these too hot, but I'm gonna do repeated medium treatments, and I think that's gonna work out. So that's a quick update where I'm at, and I'll bring it back for another clip. Okay, I'm assuming no one's gonna be complaining about how many detail clips are in this one, because maybe you're like me, you'd like as much information as possible. So I have now completed gluing this around the corner. And again, this is the original A-pillar vinyl from inside. So let me get inside and show you what I got going on. Oh! So things are looking pretty good in here. My next step, so it's glued around this edge. So I need to be able to pull this taut and deal with any kind of wrinkles that are going on. So I think my next step is to glue, I know it's a lot of light. I think I'm gonna glue this edge, especially, especially I'm gonna glue this horizontal edge, especially below the two ribs. I'm not sure what to call these guys, but so I'm gonna go ahead and glue up these edges, glue up the vinyl, pull them taut. I think where I have cut back the pockets, I think that's gonna look okay if I pull them taut. And I'm gonna do my best to yank these down. And I'm not too worried about it, about the wrinkles and whatnot, because there's still a lot of stretching to do when I cut out the sunroof. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue these down, hit them with the hot gun again, but I'm not gonna make too many early judgments on my successes until I get the sunroof done, because I think that's gonna take out a lot of problems. But there's quite a bit of material to remove, glue down on both sides. This is going well. I'm pleased how it's going. I'm just taking things slowly as we go. This is gonna be a long video, I'm sure. And I'm cutting, when I'm 100% sure there's excess material, I'm kind of removing material just to get it out of my way. Things move around. I think you saw from earlier in this clip, I've put some splits in this, and that helped get around the corner. So yeah, so let me go ahead and glue in this horizontal piece, pull it taut, and then I'll work my way around the front, and then I'll work my way around the back. But so this is how the headliner's going in this clip, and I'll bring you back when I got something else to show you. Okay, so I'm somewhat into this, maybe a good percentage. And this is my first opportunity that I'm going to say I see a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm starting to be appreciative of the process. And so you can see that I now have this glued around this edge, this A-pillar, and come over here. And I've been able to massage a lot of the wrinkles out of this. And based on what I'm seeing here and application of the heat gun, I feel like I'm going to be successful. This is my first chance of feeling like I'm going to be successful in installing this headliner. So I've glued along this edge, and I pulled taut, and I've added, I had fewer of these clips. I've glued this edge, as you know, and I pulled taut, and I've arranged, pulled taut, arranged, and I'm pretty pleased with what I'm seeing for the first time. I think this is going to work out. And for you out there that are planning on doing a headliner, I guess I'm saying work from the center out. And yeah, this contact cement is pretty forgiving, and like a heat gun, stretch, reposition, stretch, reposition. Now at some point I've repositioned a few times that maybe the glue, I may in a day like pull these clips out and re-glue on the back side. I won't mess with it on the inside, but I'm pretty pleased with what I'm seeing here. I'm going to do the same process on the other side, but I'm liking how this A-pillar looks, and I'm hoping you can see what I'm seeing. And yeah, so I'll bring you back when I've got something else to show you. Okay, so here's the next aspect that I'm concerned with, is applying the headliner around this corner. It's going really well. So around there and around there, it doesn't seem like it's gonna work, but vinyl is very flexible. I'm pleased with, now I'm not saying the heat gun is magic. I didn't get a lot of action with the, the normal hair dryer, even if the hair dryer costs $1,000 or whatever it is. But the hair dryer has nothing to go with the heat gun. Heat gun is magically, through small applications, done really well with the wrinkles. So now I have this section and this section. The glue is kind of ready to go. So my plan is to generally warm up the vinyl, and with two hands, I'm not going to be able to do this on camera, but I'm going to stretch with both hands the vinyl and pull it taut and bring it into contact with the contact cement. Again, contact cement on the vinyl and on the application of the fiberglass. So I shall do that right now. General application, warm up the vinyl so it's pliable, and then I'm going to pull it in on both sides, and I'm hoping to have a nice contour of the vinyl. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring it back. Thanks. So far so good. Try and lighten this up for the video, but I've worked my way down to about here, and working with the heat gun, and I'm about to make the same attempt on this side. So I'm going to glue down here, then I'm going to glue down here, and then I'm going to wait for, and then of course on both sides I've used this white marker to give me an idea where I should put glue. So I'm going to put glue there when it's ready to tack up. I'm going to kind of warm up the vinyl with the heat gun. And I work my way down from top to bottom. And I'm going to use the clips. And it's working better than I had expected. So this can work for you. If I can do it, you can do it. So I'll bring you back. Okay, so it's the next day. And the glue is set up pretty good. And I've gone ahead and trimmed the excess material down to this point. And I've got new fresh glued surface over here. And again, I've trimmed this section, you know, the excess material over here. And again, in the front, probably don't need to even leave the clips on, but they're not hurting anything. So I'm gonna leave it on for a day or two until I get back to this. And then from the inside, this piece of vinyl is original. And so I glued, you know, the surface of everything. And then, so this is freshly glued, my new vinyl, old vinyl, and I'm pretty pleased with how this looks. I might hit this with the heat gun a little bit to see if I can tighten that up. Might wait until it dries for a day, but I've done the same on both sides. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this looks. I've got a little wrinkle here, but I need to pull this down taut. I think I can get rid of a lot of this. So I'm gonna try and glue this down. I don't know. This is the last part. I'm kind of worried about it. I don't think I'm gonna have much issues with the sunroof. So here's a quick update on what I'm doing and how it's going, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so another clip here. I've got this new piece glued in place, and so I just can't leave well enough alone. The original vinyl covers, this is the bolt, the wood block that this side kicker attaches to. And I knew the one on the other side was loose and I've collected it, but now I see this one's bad too. So I've got to fix these, and the vinyl, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm gonna definitely glue these in, and I'm thinking about replacing the original vinyl that comes up underneath here. It should go to here. It's falling apart. So if I don't do something, it's gonna be like this raw edge. I don't know. Maybe I splice in a piece here for now. At some point, I'm gonna do carpet, and you know, this vinyl on the wheel well would get replaced. I'm not really sure. Over here, the same thing. The wood block is gone. I have it, so I need to reattach it somehow. And gosh, I'd like to get this thing back together. Maybe I just do a new vinyl piece that kind of overlaps, you know, a section here to here. The more I think about that, the more I think maybe that's the way to go. So yeah, yep, consider that done. I'll probably bring it back when I've got a clip of the wood blocks reattached. So yeah, so next step I think is going to be in cutting the sunroof and then kind of working that around. So I didn't think this was going to be an issue, but this thing's like pretty taut. Not too bad. I guess I didn't give this a lot of consideration, but this could be difficult too. I've got it looking really nice inside. I'll try and add additional light Okay, yeah. So you can see it's looking really good inside. I'm liking that. And now I'm going to cut a big hole in the center. So I'll do that and we'll see what happens. I think the glue is dried enough around the perimeters that I can start. I'm going to work, I don't know, a bunch of inches in, and then I'll start, make sure I'm material safe. And then, yeah, I don't know, maybe I do center line this way. First step, I guess I'll pull the wood dowels out and see how this behaves. But my guess is I'm going to mark a perimeter on the inside, plenty of material safe, and then just start playing with it, coming up with a plan. So that's the next step, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so far so good. I've got this open hole now, and I've gingerly attempted to see what it looks like when this is pulled taut. So I think it looks pretty good. The way I'm going to advance this now is to, I guess, maybe remove this tape. I don't think I need the center line anymore. And I'm going to make another white mark about where I want it so that I can apply glue to the underside and on this edge. And I think I'm going to pull it taut, or I think I'm going to try and get it. Let's see. I think I'm going to have to make some little snips here and on the other side just to kind of wrap this around. So I'm going to work on this edge and this edge before I work on this. So again, I'm going to be working from the center towards me and away from me. And I'm going to, yeah. So I'll make my marks and start wrapping this around. And I'll bring you back when I have something else to show you. Okay, so there's the far B-pillar. And here's the closer B-pillar, and I've got those done. I still need to, I think I'm going to glue this down rather than deal with staples. I'll probably have to take the original staples out, but I'm going to glue this back together. And I have to add some material here. This is probably my fault, but I'm going to be adding a little section of filler here, and I've bound the edges with the sewing machine. But before I do that, I need to glue in these blocks that have come dislodged. So this guy's gonna fit in here. And so the idea is I'm gonna wet all the surfaces in unthickened fiberglass resin and then thicken it up and glue it in, and then I'm gonna be adding a couple layers on the surface and the surface, and then I'll call that good. There's a way for this to fit pretty good if I can't do it one-handed, but anyway, this guy used to be, this is the actual factory block that I've cleaned all the glue resin off of, and I'm gonna reuse. And yeah, and then so this kick panel can fit back here and screw in the one location. So that's where I'm at so far, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so the fiberglass kicked a little faster than I wanted. I had two batches going. This was the wetting out and the working in of the fiberglass mat I applied, and this is the thickened one that I buttered on, and I think it turned out okay. It was frantic and fast, and it could have gone a little bit easier, faster. Maybe I put a little too much catalyst in there, but this is going to be as strong or stronger than what the factory did. So I'm going to let that kind of set up. I'm going to pull this original vinyl back. I'm going to add this little section of filler because I don't know if I cut back the original headliner too much. Maybe I probably did, but I also found that the original vinyl that was here probably didn't extend forward as much as probably other vehicles. This is just variation in car to car. So I've made myself a little filler piece here to connect the new headliner, and this is just going to glue over the edge and connect to this original. And yeah, so this is coming together. I don't think there's going to be too many clips left for the vinyl aspect, and this is probably getting really long. I'm afraid I'm going to do this to you, but I think this is going to end up in a two-parter. So I'll do one that's all vinyl, and then I'll do a second one that is, I don't know, connecting, I don't know, the rear view mirror and sun visor and all that kind of stuff. So let me bring you back. Okay, here's another quick clip. This is that extra little flap that I was talking about that's going to cover the newly glued on wood blocks for the kick panel. So I'll bring you back when I've got these guys secured. Okay, with that filler piece installed on both sides, that completes the vinyl portion of the headliner install. Let me take you inside and show you how it turned out. I'm very pleased with how everything turned out. I think I might take a heat gun to that A-pillar a little bit, but it's nice and taut everywhere. I'm planning on leaving the clips installed, even though I am sure the glue is cured now. I feel better leaving it on until I attach whatever is going to be holding it. For example, the sunroof frames I've started cleaning up. This is actually going to be the end of part 1. And when I bring it back in part 2, I'll be installing all the extra stuff, all the kick panels, the frames, the extra trim, the rear view mirror, the courtesy lights, the sun visors, the door seals. So, I'd like to thank you for coming along, watching Demo Garage. I hope you learned something. I know I did. So in part 2, we'll be finishing up this headliner project. Bye.